James Cameron just went all in on AI filmmaking. You have the power to create a professional podcast in just 2 mouse clicks, and Kling just got a major AI video update. But how does it compare to the other AI video generators on the market? We're going to find out in this week's episode of AI Film News. Thanks for tuning in. The first news that I want to talk about is the brand new 1.5 model from Kling. Now, you may already be familiar with Kling. It's a Chinese AI video tool that allows you to create videos that are pretty darn impressive. Well, the company just released their much improved 1.5 model, which allows you to create AI videos in 1080p natively directly in the tool. Now, the generations do take just a little bit of time, about 5 minutes to create, but let me show you how to get incredible results from the tool. So I'm inside of Kling here, and I'm going to go to AI Videos and go to that little menu at the top and select Kling 1.5. Now, we're going to use image to video instead of text to video because we want maximum control over our generations, and we don't want to waste all of those credits. So I have this image of this Victorian woman walking down the streets of London, turn of the century. I just liked this image. And let's go ahead and animate it. So I'm just going to drag and drop it into Kling. And for our prompt, we can say a woman walking down the streets of London in the year 1900. Now, they do have a motion brush feature that we'll get to in just a little bit, but it is disabled for the 1.5 model. I like having the slider right down the middle. I find that it just gives you the best results. And professional mode is by default whenever you're working with the 1.5 model. And you do have the option to select multiple videos to generate at a time, but it's going to cost you that many more credits. So you can burn through a lot of credits if you're generating more than one video at a time. And you do have the ability to type in a negative prompt to essentially remove certain elements from your scene that you don't want to have in the generation. And it's usually just good practice to just type in words like blur or flicker, just things that you don't want inside of a cinematic result. And when you're ready, go ahead and click generate. The generations take about 5 minutes each to render, so lucky for you, we're not going to sit here and wait for 5 minutes. I actually went ahead and rendered this out earlier. So here's our video generation, and you can see there's a really awkward movement right at the beginning, but after that, the physics look pretty darn realistic. I don't like the flicker in the background, so if I was going to use this video clip specifically, I would probably want to use a flicker-free effect like the flicker-free plugin that you can get for Premiere Pro or the deflicker effect inside of DaVinci Resolve. Now, I was curious, how does this compare to the other AI video generators that are on the market? So let's take a look here. So first off, I want to take a look at Kling 1.0, and this was the same generation, less resolution, but I actually do like the physics a little bit better from the Kling 1.0 model. Now, it's obvious that it is much fuzzier and that this generation would break down over time, but I think it did a pretty decent job. We also have this generation from Luma, and you can see it kind of looks like she's walking in reverse, and her head, I'm pretty sure like human heads can't turn that far around, so not loving the generation from Luma. And then finally, here's the same generation in Runway Gen 3. Again, this is only in 720p, and you can see that it actually did a pretty good job. I like the physics. There is a little bit of wonkiness in the background, but my overall critique of Runway really just has to do with the fact that it's a slow motion video clip. So if you're wanting real-time physics with your character walking around, sometimes that could be challenging to get inside of Runway. So I think my favorite generation from this specific test comes from Kling. Kling also released their version of Motion Brush. Essentially, you have the ability to select certain parts of your frame and define how you want them to move whenever you generate your video. It basically just gives you more directorial control over your generations. Let me show you how to use it. All you have to do is go to the video generator inside of Kling and drag and drop an image. I'm going to use this image of this dog swimming underwater, and we basically have this tennis ball here. We'll go ahead and drag and drop that into Kling. And for our prompt, we'll say a dog swimming underwater. Now, you are going to have to use the Kling 1.0 model if you want to use the motion brush. That's just a limitation that they have at the moment. So go down here to the motion brush and click Draw Motions. If you're familiar with the motion brush inside of Runway, you'll definitely know your way around this user interface. I like selecting this auto segmentation button, and basically as you kind of mouse over certain areas of the frame, it will automatically select your subject. So I want to select this tennis ball here. So we have our tennis ball selected. I know it's a little hard to tell, but it's selected, it's green. And we can go to track 1 here, and now we get to draw an arrow to define the motion that we want for the tennis ball. So I'm just going to say up and to the left here, just like that, and go ahead and click confirm. And you also have the ability to type in negative prompts. You can adjust your length, all of those things, and go ahead and click generate. And after a few minutes, we have this generation here, and you can see this dog is just swimming underwater and the tennis ball moves in the direction that we defined. Now, I will say towards the end there, I don't think that tennis ball is the regulation pattern. I've never seen a tennis ball with that exact layout, but honestly, not too bad for a quick tool inside of Kling. New updates like motion brush controls are important for us as AI filmmakers because getting maximum control allows you to specifically finesse and fine-tune your generations so that you can tell the exact story you're looking to tell. The team at HeyGen released Avatar 3.0, and I'm not talking about James Cameron's new movie. No, I'm talking about an avatar generator that uses artificial intelligence to essentially control an avatar to say whatever you want. Now, obviously the avatars aren't 100% past the uncanny valley. I'd say they're about like 97, 98% of the way there, but it's pretty darn close, and the tool is incredibly easy to use. Let's take a look at how to use it. So I'm inside of HeyGen, and to create your video avatar, just click on the video avatar button, click browse avatars. It's incredibly easy. And you'll see this library here, and you can see that we have these ones that say new and 4K. And these are the Avatar 3.0 models that you can use. And the cool thing is there's not just forward-facing video, they also have video that faces at an angle, which I think is pretty awesome. And we can just go through here, and you can see there's quite a few options that you can pick from. Like, they actually did a really good job with populating this library with all sorts of different people. Now let's go ahead and select this character here. We'll click Create with AI Studio. And to edit the words that they say, just click on the blue text here and it will pop up a box. So you can, of course, just edit this text here just like you would in a tool like 11 Labs, and it will generate the voice. So we can say, this is my voice. Go ahead and play that back.
This is my voice.
So there you go. And you also have the ability to add a recording, so you could record your own voice. Or if you want, you also have the ability to upload audio, which is the feature that we like using the most because it just gives you more control over the audio that goes into your film. So we have our audio uploaded now in HeyGen. You can click Submit, and we can just change this to Test. And the resolution, you can go all the way up to 4K, which is pretty great. It takes a few minutes to generate each video, but honestly, it doesn't take that long. If you're going with the 1080p option, it's usually only going to be maybe 3 to 5 minutes. It's been pretty darn fast, and go ahead and click Submit. Now, before I show you the generation from HeyGen, I want to put a pin in this and go address a different story because I have an interesting experiment for you. The team at Google NotebookLM came out with a tool that allows you to create a professional podcast in just a few mouse clicks. And it's kind of mind-blowing. The quality that you get from the NotebookLM platform is incredible. And the wild thing is, the tool is completely free. All you have to do is click the link below this video, and from the Notebooks page, you just click New Notebook. So it's pretty cool because you can upload all sorts of different assets from PDFs to documents. It really takes a lot of information, and if you upload a website link, it will actually look at the images and charts on that page and synthesize that as well. So it's pretty darn cool. And what I'm going to do, just for a quick example, I'm going to go to copied text. I'm going to paste in the transcript from last week's AI film news here on Curious Refuge and go ahead and click Insert. And you can see that in just a few seconds, it synthesizes all of that data And you can click on any of these buttons and it will create a pretty fantastic outline for you to read. But the section I want to focus on is the audio overview section where it says to hosts. And this is going to create an automatic podcast. So all you have to do is go ahead and click the generate button when you're ready to create the podcast. Now, the podcasts take about 5 to 7 minutes to generate, but the results are truly incredible. Let's listen to a quick snippet.
Whoa. AI film news is just like a runaway train right now. You know, every time I blink, there's something new and groundbreaking dropping.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Which is why we're diving headfirst into all of it right here, right now. We're taking a deep dive into the latest episode from Curious Refuge. They always seem to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else.
They do, and what I think is particularly fascinating right now is how accessible these tools are becoming. I mean, you don't need a Hollywood budget to play around with this stuff anymore. Yeah.
Absolutely, and case in point, Runway just dropped a huge update to their video-to-video AI, Gen 3, I think it is.
What is that? Like, AI was struggling to describe something, but in an incredibly realistic and human way. Like, now, obviously, it's not perfect. There are some imperfections there, but it's close. And you can imagine that within just a few months, if you like explainer-style podcast, just about anything in your life can be turned into a podcast episode that you can listen to, which sounds a lot like that one Black Mirror episode. And that brings us back to HeyGen. So you probably know where I'm going with this. I took the podcast that was generated with Google's NotebookLM and I separated it into 2 separate audio tracks, one for the female presenter and one for the male presenter. I then generated one video clip with one speaker and the other video clip with the other speaker and put it together to create a video podcast. Let's take a look.
Whoa. AI film news is just like a runaway train right now. You know, every time I blink, there's something new and groundbreaking dropping.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Which is why we're diving headfirst into all of it right here, right now. We're taking a deep dive into the latest episode from Curious Refuge. They always seem to be 2 steps ahead of everyone else.
They do, and what I think is particularly fascinating right now is how accessible these tools are becoming. I mean, you don't need a Hollywood budget to play around with this stuff anymore. Yeah.
Absolutely, and case in point, Runway just dropped a huge update to their video-to-video AI, Gen 3, I think it is.
And they just sit there with random hand gestures afterwards because the video length was actually longer than the audio length, which is really funny. So as you can see, one of the more awkward parts is the nonverbal communication. It doesn't seem to quite align with what the characters are talking about, but it's very easy to see that with just a few tweaks, a few updates, the uncanny valley will probably be crossed and you could have a video podcast talking about just about anything in your life in just a few seconds. AI has had major Hollywood adoption over the last couple of weeks, and this week is no exception because James Cameron himself, the director of Titanic and Avatar, has joined the board for Stability AI. James Cameron has said that he wants to be a leader in the creative AI world and essentially create tools that serve artists. I think the adoption of AI tools with big industry titans like James Cameron is a huge turning point, and AI really is no longer at the fringes of the industry. It is a very powerful and relevant tool that is useful in just about every aspect of the film production pipeline. Over the last couple of years, people that have been using AI tools in a filmmaking context have really been at the bleeding edge of this new industry. But now we're beginning to transition into the early adopter phase where so many people will begin utilizing these tools. And that's why it's super important for you to stay up to date with the latest AI trends and techniques. And talking about that, I should note that enrollment for our October session here at Curious Refuge is now open. We have spots available in our AI filmmaking, AI documentary, and AI advertising course. This training is used by artists at every major studio, and we are the industry standard when it comes to AI training. If you want to learn alongside thousands of artists in over 126 countries, we would love to have you inside of the training. You can click the link below this video to learn more. There's also big news that came out this last week at the intersection of fine art and artificial intelligence. Refik Anadol, who is really at the forefront of artificial intelligence and data synthesis in high art, has announced that he will be creating the world's first AI art museum in Los Angeles. Now, this museum is no joke. It's going to be over 20,000 square feet. Rafik's work actually is inside of MoMA, and he's partnered up with institutions like the Smithsonian and the Natural History Museum in London to contribute work for the project. We've already seen incredible AI artwork pieces at some of the world's most prestigious museums, but now we're going to have a dedicated space specifically designed to highlight artists who are exploring this new medium. I also came across quite a few posts this last week that are utilizing Runway Gen 3 as a renderer. So essentially, they will take live action footage and run it through Runway Gen 3 to give it a completely different style. You can think of it as a render engine inside a VFX tool. Now, obviously, we're still in the early days here, but it's really cool to see how through just a little bit of compositing, you can create a completely different style. We've seen quite a few different examples like this one from John Finger. And Cristobal, who's the CEO of Runway, also released a very rudimentary 3D model of a gorilla, and essentially Runway Gen 3 was able to render it to make it more realistic. Now, we came across this example from Coffee Vectors, who is a really fantastic artist that showcases their work on X, and they essentially used Runway Gen 3 to convert a character into this like metallic design, and then they used Sam 2 from Meta to do just like an intelligent mask to make the person blend in with the environment. Now, I want to very quickly show you how you can do this for yourself. So I have this video plate from Pexels of this man boxing, and all I'm going to do is just drag and drop it inside of Runway. So we're using Runway Gen 3 video to video, and you can describe what you want to see, and we'll say a man made out of metal, metallic, and go ahead and click generate. And after a few minutes, this is the video that we have, and you can see there's a lot of weight behind those punches, and I love the reflections. Like, it looks really cool with the boxing bag there. So now I want to isolate our subject. So you totally could use the Meta tool, but you also could use Runway to isolate your subject as well. All you have to do is go to the All Tools section, go to Video Tools, and click Remove Background. So I'm going to take our character of our man boxing here and simply drag and drop it into our scene. And it's really easy. All you have to do is select your character. So we'll just select some points here, and Runway will intelligently figure out who the character is, just like that. And we can get more specific with it because we want to select the boxing glove. And now you can see we have the man selected. And all you have to do is kind of click around, just make sure that all of the masking is correct throughout the scene. I think this did pretty good, and go ahead and go to Done Masking. And the cool thing is you can also feather the edges just a little bit just to soften it up because it's kind of harsh by default. And you can go ahead and click Export. And you have the ability to export it up to 4K. It's totally up to you. I'm just going to do 1080p to keep it fast. I also would normally select ProRes if I was working on a professional project, but I'm going to select MP4 just for a quick example and go ahead and click Export Video. So this next step, I'm going to use Adobe After Effects, but you could use Premiere, you could use DaVinci Resolve. It's entirely up to you. And we have our original plate of our man boxing here. So just a clip of this guy like boxing here. Cool. And I'm going to drag in our video, the green screen plate here, and we'll just scale this up to basically make it fit the frame. And I'm going to go to Key for Key Light. We'll drag it onto that video frame and select the green. I just selected the screen color here, select the green background, and now we have our man isolated on the background there. And let's go back over to our project panel, and we'll drop the video plate of our man who is basically made out of metal, and we'll scale that up. So now we have the man made of metal above the green screen guy. I'm actually going to take the green screen video, put it on top. So just to isolate that, we have the green screen man right above the metal guy. And I'm going to select this metal footage, go to Track Matte, and select the top video layer. So that's the green screen layer. So now we have our metal character over the base background footage. And if we scrub through here, you can see he's boxing. Now you may need to go in and adjust just a few things. For example, if you want to move the metal plate, you can move it around just a little bit. And we can go ahead and play this back here, and you can see that our character is now metallic and he's like punching the punching bag. So there you go. The team at Runway also came out with the ability to render Runway Gen 3 videos in portrait mode. So we've had 16:9, now we have 9:16. To use the portrait aspect ratio, just make sure you're in Gen 3 Alpha Turbo. It only works in turbo mode right now, I don't really know why. And you can just take this video, drag and drop it directly into the scene here. You can type in a prompt if you want, it's totally up to you. And now all you have to do is go ahead and click generate. So I have a few different examples here. So we have example number 1. Not bad. I think the text is coming off that cup, and then for some reason, it just straight up switched into a Luma mask there at the end. I have no idea why. We have this shot here, which again, not too bad. I don't love the physics of the cup where it's like real harsh like that, but not too bad. And then here's the final shot. And yeah, looks pretty good. The team at Runway is also giving away up to $1 million to filmmakers to essentially just create any film that you want to pitch to their team. Now, there is, of course, an application process, and they say that their grants range from $5,000 to $1 million. There's a team of advisors who will review the pitches to see which projects should get funding. This includes Jane Rosenthal, Richard Karras, NVIDIA, will.i.am, Stefan Sonfeld, and Christina Lee Storm, who, fun fact, was a judge in our AI trailer competition. The team at Suno came out with the ability to create automatic song covers. So essentially, all you have to do is upload a music track and it will create a completely new cover of that song. Let me show you how to use it. To use the feature, all you have to do is go to Suno's website and go ahead and click the Create Cover from Any Song button. And you'll see there's this new Upload Audio button at the top, and you're going to do exactly what you think. You're going to upload your audio. I'll go ahead and select my device. And I have this real quick song. This is a real song, so let's take a listen.
All my life I was looking for a sign. Wasn't sure where to find a peace of mind. Sometimes you can see things when it ain't time. Well, for you I'll be putting it all aside.
Okay, cool. When you're ready to upload, just go ahead and click the open button and go ahead and upload the file. I should note that the song needs to be between 6 and 120 seconds, and go ahead and click continue. You'll see the uploaded song inside of your feed here. Just go to the 3 dots, go to create and click cover song. So now you can see it typed in the lyrics from your song, and you can type in any style of music you want, whether you want hardcore music, you can do tropical house music, electric blues. It's entirely up to you. And when you're ready, all you have to do is scroll down to the bottom and click create. Let's listen to a few of the options here. So here's the hardcore version. I love it. 10 out of 10. Let's listen to a few other options here. The lyrics need to be cleaned up just a little bit, but man, that was really good. And let's listen to our last genre here. We have some indie rock.
All my life I was looking for a sign. Wasn't sure where to find the peace of mind. Sometimes you can see things when it ain't time. But for you I'll be putting it all aside.
You can play around with this new feature inside of Suno today. And speaking of today, Shelby at Curious Refuge spoke at the LTX and Creative AI Networks event in London. I also want to give a special shout out to the Curious Refuge meetup that happened this last week in The Hague. Hope you guys had an amazing time at that event. Now, there are a few other AI filmmaking events that you should know about happening around the world. The first is a Warsaw meetup that's happening on the 28th of September. There's also a Future AI Film Festival in Vancouver on October 2nd. I know quite a few people are going to that event, and it's going to be very fun. Runway will also be hosting a screening of their Gen 48 films at the IMAX headquarters in Playa Vista. Now, you do have to apply to get to that screening, which is a bit of a bummer, but maybe if you know somebody at Runway, you can get inside of that screening. And we also are hosting a Curious Refuge meetup on October 10th in Stockholm. There are many more meetups that I was unable to get to in this short video, so be sure to check out our AI film events page if you want to see AI film events happening in your area. There are also a few white papers about future technology that will be hitting the AI filmmaking community very soon that I want to talk about. The first is called MIMO by Ali Baba, and essentially this tool allows you to replace characters inside of video. So similar to other AI tools that we've seen up to this point, but I should note that the quality is really amazing. So for example, we have this anime character that was completely replaced inside of the scene, and you can see that the shadows are there too, so it just kind of helps to sell the overall effect. You also see that there's like clothing physics. So for example, we have this woman here, and as she moves around, her dress like moves, which is pretty cool to see that it's also rendering out secondary dynamics beyond just bones alone. And you can also see that there are a few other just like really cool examples. You can see how this type of technology could be really helpful for everything from crowd dynamics to just helping to give overall stylization to your scene. There's also a tool announced called DrawingSpinUp, which is really kind of cute. It basically allows you to draw a really rough character, and then it animates that character in a really, honestly, realistic way that looks better than some of the other automatic animation tools that we've seen up to this point. Now, I think that tools like this could be really interesting, especially if you integrate this into, kids' art applications and things like that. They could actually draw characters that come to life and tell stories, which would be incredibly fun. So this is in the early stages, but the quality looks pretty cool. A team also came out with the ability to do relighting inside of Gaussian splats. So a Gaussian splat is essentially a 3D scan of an environment, and utilizing this tool, you can basically control lighting. So you can basically do like a studio setup as long as you have a 3D model scanned into the application. This is really important because in the future, we'll be able to take 3D scans of objects and basically relight them for advertising purposes, for set dressing, for matte painting, for a wide variety of different applications. And you'll be able to control everything from the lighting to the reflection, and it will just basically give you more control over your creative scene. And our final tool of the day is called TextBoost. This tool is pretty interesting because it allows you to upload a single image and then get a consistent character again and again. And the reason why that's important, because up to right now, if you want to get really good consistent characters again and again, you need to train a custom LoRa model that needs to have a ton of different variants of that character. But utilizing this tool, it can take a single image and then generate that character again and again. So you see we have this example here of this cat and this like red cartoon character. It also has the ability to take on styles. So for example, we have this scene here that's taking this painting and projecting the same style onto a cat. And it looks pretty realistic. We have the Van Gogh version of a cat, which honestly, I want to print that thing out and put it on my wall. It's pretty great. And we also have this like wooden block version of a cat that looks good as well. And that brings us to our AI films of the week. The first film that I want to talk about is called Night of Darkness by one of my favorite AI artists named Kevin the Kid. Kevin really showcased incredible curation in his scenes, which, is par for the course. He always does incredible work. And I just really highly recommend checking it out if you really like consistency in shots and just high levels of AI generation. The next film that I want to highlight is called Death as the Motivator by Billy Bowman. And this is a really great AI film because it really tells a very compelling human story. The shots are, of course, beautiful, and some of them I legitimately still don't believe that they're AI generated. It says that they're AI generated, but honestly, they look fantastic. The overall story is very poetic. There's some really beautiful examples of VFX shots that have really high fidelity in the generations, which is pretty cool. And I think it just really showcases some of the best curation from AI videos that I've seen up to this point. Our next film is called Galileo by Yilmaz Erman, and it was actually a submission for the Gen 48 competition at Runway. It's essentially like a space sci-fi, and some of these shots look really, really beautiful and hyper cinematic. It's kind of a cool blend of both a sci-fi film and also a period piece. It kind of blends the two together by bringing Galileo into a very hyper stylized sci-fi aesthetic. So I think they did an amazing job with this project. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Of course, if you want to join the October session of any one of our AI storytelling courses, you can, of course, check them out over on Curious Refuge. And if you want to get the latest tutorials and techniques directly here on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess I'll just sit here and wait for the end of this video. So yeah, hope you're having a good day. Thinking about Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it's kind of making me want some spaghetti. All right, bye.